What's happening, Wes?
Hola, Brian Paul.
Hola. Hola. ¿Por qué
Hola.
español?
No.
¿Dónde vas?
No habla español.
No me apetite.
Mi español es no bueno.
Terrible. Sirens on my end.
Mucho terrible.
So, muy and mucho. I'm never sure if it's like muy terrible or mucho
Oh, yeah,
terrible.
me either.
It's like a lot and very. I don't know which one's which. And then I ask, and then somebody goes, "Well, it varies." And I was like, "Well, then I'm out," because that's. I know that English is more complicated, right? But like, I already know that one.
Right, exactly. So I never had any Spanish classes back
Okay.
in the day that I went to school many decades ago. But I did work at a Mexican restaurant
Uh-huh.
for over 3 years with a kitchen that was full of undocumented workers. So I picked up a little while I was there, but nothing I can use here. Stuff like, can I have some more beans? Things like this. Um, I was pretty good at that 20 years ago.
Yeah, I also worked in a restaurant where we spoke. See how good my English is. There in which we spoke Spanish, and but I had 5 years of Spanish in high school. That's right,
Oh,
5 years. So I think you can figure out how high school went for me. Um, and then like close to a decade in a Spanish restaurant in West. I don't know anything. I know nothing. I've retained absolutely nothing. In
I
fact,
get
dude,
it.
I was a little surprised. We started the show off and people are speaking pirate in the chat. People are speaking pirate, and you kicked it off with Spanish. Although I guess there's Spanish pirates, probably a lot of them. So well, maybe we are on topic here.
Yeah. Well, why don't we talk a little PSVR?
And let's start the show. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Wise Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure. And I'm so sorry for the person who complained about this, but we also care about your oral pleasure. They're like, please, Brian, fucking years of the oral pleasure joke. It's time to move on. And you know what? He might be right, but I am a victim of routine, and I'm a creature of habit. And I am sorry. This is the joke. You're stuck with it for like at least another decade.
Brian is such a creature of habit that we had to go back to 3 days just so that he could get through the intro smoothly.
That's right. It was every single 1 episode per week show was. I mean, we just didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Didn't make any sense.
True.
But we care about your oral pleasure. That's why we put this thing up on podcast services of your choice, courtesy of our good friend Rod Pop. And if you don't like sitting through these long-winded conversations about nothing, we also get that. That's why Waleed and Rhodey both put timestamps into this show weekly. We thank you all very much. My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here with that Parole. And this gentleman over here to my left, you're right, it's Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers.
What's up, Brian? What's up, Game Cats? It's exciting times in VR land. Good, happy to be here.
That's good. That's good that it's happy times in VR land, because in biblical times,
it's the holiday.
It's the end of times.
Oh, it's the holiday season, but like we're almost to like Black Friday sales. Mm-hmm. So we're at that one period of the year that it's fiscally responsible to buy VR hardware. So it's typically happy. This is when all the games come, and they are coming.
Except for the ones that aren't.
Except for the ones that aren't. Yeah, that's right. There's always a couple, right? But I think that's good news for the most part.
The Game Cat Andrew Ehrenreich with the level 2 membership says, got stuck in Metro, ran out of ammo in my blow darts. Spoilers, Andrew, my blow darts wouldn't work. Took 30 minutes to figure out I needed to take off my mask. Never felt so dumb in VR. 10 out of 10. What? Like I just finished Metro not that long ago, and I don't even remember the mask he's talking about. I do remember the blow darts. Let's not talk about the blow darts though. Pretty cool stuff though. Pretty cool stuff. If you haven't seen blow darts in Metro, you got fun stuff to look forward to. Uh, have you seen the blow darts in Metro yet, Wes?
I have not. I haven't been back since we covered it. I've put 2 or 3 hours in prior to that, maybe a little more. But no blow darts yet. Although I will say that I'm looking forward to getting back into it. We have officially ceased regular episodes on the
Oh,
Virtual Strangers channel for about 6 weeks now, so that we can prepare for 2024 show. And a good part of preparing for the 2024 show is going back to these Game of the Year nominees and playing through them. So I will be very soon back into Metro and a number of other titles as well.
am am I gonna be on the end of the year show?
I hope you've been on the last what 3, so I would hope you would be on this one as well.
No one
Will you
knows, man.
please, Brian?
There's no way to tell. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll be there. I'll be there. You only come on my channel 52 times a year. So it's kind of it's definitely the least I could do. I mean, it's actually way less than the least I could do. It's almost embarrassing.
It's enough. It is more than enough.
I'll take it, man. I'll take it. Listen, Wes, I'm really glad you're here, and so is Golu. Golu78 is glad you're here because just like all of you can, Golu went to the viewer takeover channel of our Discord. Click the link in the description below. Come join our Discord. Also, subscribe to Wes's channel while you're at it. Subscribe to all channels while you're at it. But if you want to get your question on the show without spending any of that valuable super chat money that you could save for Black Friday deals, leave your viewer takeover questions over there and you get them on the show. Golu78 writes hashtag viewer takeover. Do you think, I have to sneeze, so this is going to be weird, that if there would be a contest for a best VR game of all time, that it would still be Half-Life Alyx? I would also like to hear Wes's opinion on this topic as he covers all VR. Wes, my immediate response to this is I have never played Half-Life Alyx. I have seen long gameplay clips. I've watched other people play it for long periods of time. I have a good understanding of what that game is all about, but I've never been in the headset to play it, and so I don't have like a leg to stand on in this conversation. I am very curious to hear your opinion as to whether Half-Life Alyx was ever the best VR game of all time, and if so, does it continue to be so?
Half-Life Alyx may very well be the best title of all time. I would not say that it ever has been the best game of all time. And let me explain what I mean by that. Um, Half-Life Alyx, I would say, still continues to be the gold standard in terms of production value. Um, that game, even today, even for someone like me who's been in it for dozens and dozens of hours, when you step into that game, you say, wow,
Mm-hmm.
every time. It is so beautiful and realistic looking, and it's VRAF. Like literally everything that's in the world is interactable. Everything has physics. It really is um, a technical achievement, even by today's standards. Um, at the same time, however, in terms of gameplay, Half-Life Alyx is very shallow. It is a arcade shooter with 3 guns and minimal upgrade uh what's progression, minimal progression. I think you can upgrade your 3 guns with like 4 or 5 different upgrades on each one, and that's the whole of the progression. It isn't terribly deep. It is a great experience going through it because it tells an awesome story. And again, it's just the visuals, the sound, the physics, everything is awesome. But I wouldn't say that it's the best game of all time, because I like more depth of gameplay. There's more to me than how a game um, looks and sounds. Um, if I had to pick the best game of all time in VR, it would probably be, for me, The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, Chapter 2, Retribution. I think that game has, while it's not perfect, it has so much going on for it, and it's great in pretty much every category. Um, there's lots of depth of gameplay. You don't there's an awesome story campaign, but you don't have to progress at any certain pace. It's not linear. There are many ways to get to the goal, and you can play at your own pace and do side quests and all of these different people in the game have kind of their own thing going on. Um, I think that's probably what I would call the best game. But on the other hand, what makes Half-Life Alyx maybe the best title of all time, in addition to everything I've already said about it, is that it's open to the Steam Workshop. And what that means is it's not just a game, it is a game engine that is easy for people to use to make other content, other games, kind of like Dreams was on PSVR, but it's a much more advanced engine than Dreams was in most ways. Um, so not only do you have Half-Life Alyx, the 15 to 20 hour awesome campaign that is in the game, but you also have like hundreds of other user made content that's built in that's attached to it for free. Um, which makes it again a great pickup and probably the most must own title that PCVR has ever had to offer. But in terms of the game, the campaign itself, I think I could probably name 5 others at least that are better than Half-Life Alyx.
That's actually maybe more of a positive response than I thought you were going to give. To be honest with you, Wes, I
Oh,
thought that.
really?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it's like when looking at it in the sense of like, oh, like, how much of a Half-Life game is Alyx? It's like the same conversation we had with Metro, the same conversation we had with Horizon, right? Where it's like, it doesn't have all the things that are going on the flat screen games. And also, there's, some, a lot of games have come out since that, kind of steal, that kind of make the impact this game had lesser if you play it for the first time, like today, right? So, what I'm thrilled to hear that it stands up so well, and that if we ever do get it on PlayStation VR2, which I don't even think anyone's even assuming or hoping or even have their fingers crossed behind their backs for anymore. I think we've all sort of given up on that ever happening. But if it ever does, that it's still worth picking up, and that we should all go get it.
Well, it's a great journey. And like it's a hell of a campaign and a hell of a story to experience. As simple as the gameplay mechanics are, it does get challenging and exciting at times to play through. With that said, the Half-Life 2 VR mod
Mm.
is probably a better game than Half-Life Alyx is. And when I say mod, it's only a mod in name only. Like if you own Half-Life 2, all you have to do is go to the Steam store, click on the VR mod, and it installs like any other update from like an official game would install on Steam. You don't have to mod anything. And it makes it into a VR game that's got way more weapons and way more depth than Half-Life Alyx has.
Golu78, thanks for the viewer takeover question. You guys don't forget, you can put your own viewer takeover questions over on our Discord. Just click the link in the description below. Come over there and hang out. That's where conversations like this happen 24/7. Dude, I've been putting up a poll every single day for the last few weeks. I mean, and they are all over the place. We talk about retro consoles. We talk about what kind of milk we're drinking. Like it is like I'm having a lot of fun on Discord. It's been a really good time. So come over, join the fun. Yeah. Wes, we get some breaking news. I want to address this as soon as humanly possible, but not as soon as humanly possible, or we would have done it before the Half-Life Alyx question. So let's head on over to Twitter, where it's breaking news. We got a brand new tweet from PlayStation, the official PlayStation Twitter account has posted. Trombone Champ unflattened slides on the PSVR2 November 26th. And I'm assuming is this the same? Does it link to the blog post that you wrote?
I don't know. I didn't click through.
Here, I'll
Probably.
click it. Click it and see what happens. It's not letting me click it.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's
I'm
not
guessing it probably
possible.
does that. This is dude. I gotta say, for anybody who doesn't know, Wes works at Impact Reality, and Impact Reality is publishing this game, right? And Flat to VR. What's the relationship? I know it's all kind of the same company to a degree, right? But what is the
So
relationship there?
yeah, we are the same company. Impact Reality is the parent company. Flat to VR Studios is the developer and the publisher of Trombone Champ Unflattened, as well as a number of games coming through 2025 and beyond. Um, but yeah, Impact Reality is kind of the parent company of Flat to VR Studios. We're also actively working, obviously, as the PR and marketing company for the studio because that's what we do. That's how we started. That's what I do. That's my association to Flat to VR Studios is I'm kind of a mouthpiece for them. So, um, yeah,
All right, so
hope
now that
that
we all know we
explains
can't trust Wes when it comes to Trombone Champ Unflattened or
not at all.
anything regarding Flat to VR Studios because he's obviously biased. Now that we've got that out of the way, I think listen. I think we need to take a quick look at this PlayStation blog post because listen, man, for me at least, somebody who's known you for years and worked with you for years. I thought it was very, very cool to go to the PlayStation Store page and see the words Impact Reality as the publishers of Trombone Champ Unflattened. Also, going over to the PlayStation blog during the PSVR2 spotlight that happened earlier this week, and then seeing your fucking name as the person who wrote the article. You wrote a PlayStation blog article, but it sucks that no one reads the PlayStation blog.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I know.
but other than that, this is a really cool achievement. I'm never going to do this. Never in my life will I ever write a PlayStation blog post
Never say
because they don't
never,
like me.
Brian.
They don't.
And
PlayStation
by the
doesn't
way,
like me.
if they find out that who I am, I'll probably never write one again either.
So moving on to our next story.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. They've been cool. They have to know. I mean, we put so many freaking cat references in everything from the tweets to the trailer, and like we even mentioned it in the blog post. Like there's low key shout outs all through all of this stuff to the game cat. So they have to know, right?
I
Or
mean,
maybe they don't.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Somebody's knocking at my door. Should I go? Should I go answer it in the middle of the stream? Do you want it? Do you want to like talk about this blog post while I see if it's anything important?
Yeah, go see it. Maybe it's
All right.
something important.
All right. I'll
Maybe,
be.
yeah. So, yeah, no, what Brian says is absolutely true. It was kind of cool to have the opportunity to get my name on something like this. You know, I write stuff um, for work all the time that people don't know about. Like we have dozens and dozens of games that we've launched over the couple of years I've been at Flat or at Impact Reality, and I'm writing things all the time for all of them. But it's always things that other people are putting their name on, as if they did it. So when they brought this to me and they said, "Hey Wes, you know, there's going to be a PSVR2 day coming up, and we're going to have a spot on the PlayStation blog." The only thing I asked was, "Can I keep my name on this one?" And the people that I work for were so awesome to allow me to kind of take the lead on this one, and yeah, it was cool to see my name on the blog that we so often come to during these occasions to get the news. So yeah, pretty awesome. Who was it, Brian? You know, but it's funny that you say that. Miles keeps every time I see Miles, he calls me like superstar or something to this effect. Like Um, it's kind of weird actually, but no, it's maybe maybe. So did you like Steven Seagal him and grab the gun and chop him in the neck really quick? What Brian, the chat says that you are muted, in OBS, I guess. Irrelevant. It was irrelevant anyway, let's be
That makes
honest.
it that makes everything I said way less funny. Oh man, we had a pretty funny conversation, you guys. I got to tell you, had a pretty
It
funny
was
conversation.
hilarious.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah. Thank you guys. All right, dude. We time to move on.
Well, I
We
didn't
good?
talk about anything in the actual article. I just talked about how cool it was to be on
These
here.
people don't
So,
care. They
okay.
they can read the article themselves.
Read the article. Go read it. Like, click on it. Like, I
Yeah.
did something on the PlayStation blog. Let's let PlayStation know that 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 I matter and that Trombone Champ Unflattened is high up on your wish list and your priority list by clicking the hell out of this thing.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, Wes, you know, like you and I had a little conversation before the show began, and I had such a mixed reaction when I saw that they tweeted about Trombone Champ, because I think, you know, here we are on the precipice. We'll get to the details in a second, but we're on the precipice of a big Black Friday sale for the PSVR2 headset. This is when it sells like 10,000 times or 10,000% more than it did all year, right? Like people wait for this price drop and then they buy it up, and that's when it sells, right? And here we are in the precipice of it. And I don't want to make it sound like that I don't think Trombone Champ's going to be a good game, or that I don't understand the virality that this game has undergone, like that there's a viral nature to people seeing the game and wanting the game and playing the game and buying the game and all that. But it's the same. I have almost like Corridor VR, where I was like, oh, no, this isn't the game. This isn't the game that you want to put front and center when you're trying to sell a PSVR2 headset, especially like right now when we're literally minutes away from the price drop. Like, show Aces of Thunder, show Alien VR, show Wanderer, right? Show Hitman. And so I had a mixed reaction because there's also this other side of it, where this is a game that has the potential to go viral, that people are going to be really interested in. As silly as it seems, I think it's going to sell really, really well, right?
Yeah.
Just like a job sim or a surgeon sim. What are other goofy games that always make the list?
That's kind of the bottom line here. And this is a lesson that I've learned the hard way since starting my work at Impact Reality. You know, for years I've been podcasting and sitting here and talking about what I think, you know, XYZ company should do to sell versus not sell. But what I've come to realize is the space that we operate in here, the VR enthusiast space, is only this much of who's actually buying VR games. So when we come on here and talk about things that excite us and equate that to what would sell in VR, that doesn't necessarily always work out the way that you think it would. And the fact of the matter is that uh, most, or at least a very significant portion of VR game sales are to casuals out there who aren't watching VR YouTube, who aren't like heavily invested in hardcore gaming, but people who are just getting in there an hour or two per week and just playing something for a few minutes at a time. And to those people, games like Trombone Champ, games like Job Sim, you know, those are the games, Beat Saber, those are the games that these people really want to play and really sell. And like I was talking about before we went live today, you can see it in the PlayStation tweets from Monday when they had all of these 5 titles. They had Hitman, they had Alien, they had Mare, Masters of Light, and Trombone Champ. If you go look at the likes and views on all of those tweets, like the Trombone Champ one is like significantly more well interacted with than the other ones, which is a surprise to me because again, like if you ask me which one of those am I going to go play first, it's not going to be Trombone Champ. Like it's a fun game, but it's not my type of game. Not the type of game that I typically go for. But it is quite popular, and I've been very surprised at the reaction to it. over the past few months. It is something that a lot of people are looking forward to.
It's a little frustrating, right? I mean, again, very happy that I'm hoping that Trombone Champ Unflattened is a major success. Flat to VR is a studio that is kind of making a lot of VR gamers come true, and it's starting off even much bigger than I thought they would start off with. Right, I thought there'd be 5 Trombone Champ style games before we got into what is it? Is it Wrath, the first
Wrath,
person shooter,
yeah,
flat
Wrath,
out,
and then RoboQuest, I think
RoboQuest,
is one
right?
that's pretty well into development now. It's funny that you say that because, and I don't know how much I'm allowed to say here, so I'm just going to be very kind of abbreviated in what I'm saying here. But I can't express to you just how important it is that Trombone Champ Unflattened is a big success. A lot of people were disappointed with that being kind of our first release
Mhm.
because it is more of a game for casuals. It is a rhythm game. It is one of these little funny viral games. It's a $15 game. Um, and the reason why some people were disappointed is because they wanted us to come out of the gate with the Grand Theft Autos and The Last of Us and all of these big
BioShock.
titles. BioShock, yeah, the people want all of those titles. And look, without pointing out anybody specifically that we're talking to, we are talking to these big studios. We are in talks with some big players in the video game space, but they're all taking, well, not all of them, but many of them are taking a wait and see approach, right? They're looking at Trombone Champ Unflattened. We're assuring them that our process works, that it's going to be profitable for them, but we have no track record to point to. They're just taking our word for it at this point. So this is
Right.
our proof of concept, Trombone Champ Unflattened. And a lot of what we're able to do in the future is going to be built on the success of this title. So I can't express enough how important it is for people to get out there and wish list, pre-order, and buy this game when it comes out. Even if it's not like your cup of tea, you're definitely going to be doing a lot to support the studio and what we're able to do over the next few years.
Yeah, it feels weird to be, pushing this game and saying how important it is. Like when, you're working for the studio, it feels weird to be sitting here and having this conversation. But it's not a conversation we haven't had other times about other games. And it's really like when you see developers who are doing the things that you like, when you see developers who are out there like, pushing VR and trying to do things and pushing it in the direction that you want, like yeah, you gotta support the people who are doing the things you want. Like this is, I do the same thing on Kickstarter. Anytime I see somebody doing something on Kickstarter that I like, I go support them. And so it's important. Like the only way you can show your support is really with money. Money talks. So you want Flat to VR to do great things, then you got to buy Flat to VR games.
Macho's lamenting the fact that he's going to have to go buy this now, even though he doesn't want to play it.
No. Also, I mean, listen, there's also a limit, right? Like if you're like, I'm never gonna play this, then I think it'd still be ridiculous to buy it. While it is now GameCast, specifically White Tiger with the Canadian $5 tip says, Happy West Day, a few points. Get a PSVR2 this sale. PlayStation Portal cloud streaming bodes well for wireless PSVR3. How I did not see that coming. How important are there's a question here. How important are month one sales for developers? I think they're extremely important. Right?
Yeah, they're day one is important. Week one important, but maybe not as important as day one. Month one important, maybe not as important as week one. The reason why early sales and wish listing and pre-orders are all very important is because it all kind of works together, and it's different from platform to platform, right? It's different on PlayStation than it is on Meta, than it is on Steam, but they're all built upon the kind of same philosophy that the better you do early, um, the more likely you are to get picked up by the store algorithm. And if you hit certain thresholds with pre-orders, with wish listing, with day one sales, with reviews and ratings on the store, then the algorithm catches that and you get pushed up. and so that more people who are randomly browsing the various stores will be more likely to see your game. So early sales, early everything, early clicks, everything that you can do, the earlier the better, and the more likely a game is to kind of snowball and become a success, based on kind of the built-in marketing apparatus behind each store.
Wes, I was going to move off this topic, and we will. But I do feel like somehow this conversation sort of devolved into you should buy Trombone Champ because we should support Flatout VR. And I don't think that's the right message. I want to know, Wes, how deep is Trombone Champ as a rhythm game? Like, have you spent time with it and played it and been like, oh, okay, I really understand this game? Like, is it something that like you practice like a Beat Saber and you want to get better and better at, and there's a scoreboard and like you're trying to, or is it more about kind of like being just silly and goofy?
No, it's definitely a legitimate rhythm game here, and um, it really is a remarkable um, port, if you can even call it a port. Technically, it's a port because at its very base level, it is built on the code that went into the original Trombone Champ game. But anybody that's seen that game and seen the game that we're releasing will notice immediately it is a very different game. Our game very much feels and plays like a game that is built from the ground up for VR. Um, Not only that, and there's a lot that went into that, a lot of innovation, a lot of, from scratch code that our team had to put together to make the game what it is. Um, but to kind of to answer your the crux of your question, um, this game has everything that those rhythm games that you're talking about has. There's definitely that same loop of you have to get in here, you have to practice, you have to learn the tracks and get better and then chase the leaderboards. Um, in addition to that, what kind of sets it apart from those is, those other games are really true rhythm games where it's all about, you know, learning the spots and hitting the beats on point, where this game literally puts a virtual instrument in your hands and you can play however you want. Like, as long as you're hitting the notes, it's not going to hurt your score. But when you get really good at this, you can ad lib in between notes and make it sound good, and you won't be penalized for that in the score. The only thing you'll be penalized is if you miss your beats that you're supposed to be hitting. And we've got this crowd built in that reacts to what you're doing. There's all sorts of surprises that can take place that are all kind of individually planned and coded in there to respond to what the player's doing. So it's got all of the stuff that those rhythm games has, but it also has all of these different layers of things built in on top of it to make it just more than what those games are. Um, and one more thing, versus like the original version of Trombone Champ, again, it's kind of based on that. But like, for example, our campaign is a different campaign. Like, there's lots of the same tracks, but along the way, it's a very long campaign. And along the way, there are a lot of surprises and things that are exclusive to our title that really kind of set it apart from the original.
Apprentice Summer Scales in the chat says, I will practice trombone 4 hours a day to get to Firewatch VR. It sounds like a deal you make with your mom when you're like 10. You're like, I promise I'll go to church if you let me get a guitar. It's like something like that, which is fair, which is totally fair. Oh, man. All right, listen. We got to go. We got to head back to the PlayStation blog for our next news story. And that is that PlayStation's Black Friday deals are, I can't read the whole thing. Oh, there it is. PlayStation's Black Friday deals 2024, and we can skip to somewhere around here or there. Did I scroll past it already? I already scrolled past it. There it is. Guys, the deal you've been waiting for is just about here. Starting November 22nd, we are going to be getting the $200 off the PlayStation VR2 bundles. This is the same or similar to the back to school sale we got a few months back. It is available direct.playstation.com for countries who don't have direct.playstation.com, like Canada. Fucking weird. I was talking to a Canadian today who shall remain nameless, and he was pretty confident. He's like that. Amazon should have it. He goes, check the big box stores; they should have it. And so, this seems like it's going to be more of like a whole thump. It feels like that kind of vibe where it might hit more of the world all at the same time this time, whereas like last time it was like, oh, North America or like the United States got it or the UK got it, right? And they got it like at 24 hours before the US got it, and then we got it for a week, and then like another country got it, like Australia and New Zealand got it for a little bit, I think, if I remember correctly. But like they were big to, like, a lot of Europe that just didn't. I think this is going to be a much more universal sale, so keep an eye out. I mean, the fact that it's on the PlayStation blog and they are talking about, this big push. I think it's fair to say that everybody should see this deal. But please, it's a struggle. It's a struggle to keep everyone notified. It's really difficult. Like, people don't want to miss out on these deals. The one here in that they're talking about lasts from November 22nd, which is 2 days from now, till December 2nd. So please, again, like, come join our Discord. People over there are constantly helping each other out, posting in the news channel. We'll have a deals channel set up so that anybody looking to pick up the deal, no matter what country you're in, like, there'll probably be a post there for you somewhere from somebody in that country who is, keeping an eye on these things. So it's a teamwork thing, guys. And it always ends up being a teamwork thing. And I am so thrilled that, all we do is we say, hey, go post deals in this channel here. And then you do. And it helps out hundreds of people, if not thousands. So thank you guys for being vigilant and helping each other. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's actually invaluable. Like, if it weren't for the Without Parole Discord server, I would have never gotten my PlayStation 5 console when it came out, and it was very difficult to get for months. But I had mine on day one, thanks to the cats. So
Same.
definitely,
Yep.
yeah.
It's a big deal, man. This is a big deal. It's going to sell a lot of consoles, and I always say this. I always say I can tell anecdotally from my own numbers on Without Parole how the sale is going to go and how many new PSVR2 gamers there are. Wes, Without Parole has its ups and downs, and it generally has to do with what games are coming out and if there's anything exciting happening in the world of VR or the world of PSVR2. Let me tell you, I have not seen numbers like I've seen over the last 3 days in 2 years. There's that much excitement about this sale, about people getting ready to purchase their PSVR2. Like, I mean, just this community is blowing up as we speak. The subscriber count on Without Parole is blowing up as we speak. And so that just shows you, like, this is PSVR2's time. And looking ahead at the months to come, with all the games that have been announced, with all the games that have been delayed into 2025, like, the next 6 months look amazing. I think we're just going to be, I think we're just gonna be in a really good place for a while, man. Like, the good games just look like they're just gonna keep on coming. There's no end in sight at this point.
No, I agree. There's a lot of excitement around VR right now in general, and that certainly extends to PlayStation VR. Now that everyone's kind of number one concern and number two concern are both being addressed at the same time. People said that it was too expensive. Well, now it's much more affordable. People said that there are no games. There are clearly plenty of games now that are in the library and coming to the library. So yeah, I expect it to be a good time for VR in general over the next 2 months or so.
Let's look ahead into 2025, Wes. I think we got some good stuff coming. I'm going to kick off the 2025 discussions. Now, listen, you guys already know. It's very likely that Wanderer, the Fragments of Fate, has been pushed into 2025, even though they haven't said that explicitly. We do know that Hitman World of Assassination trilogy got pushed into March. We know that Zombie Army VR got pushed into 2025. Right, so 2025 is already looking good based on the games that should have come out in 2024. However, there are new games being announced, and I'm going to start with, no offense, this sounds bad, but to the lesser of the two. But I was very excited because I was just thinking, what are the Crisis Brigade guys up to? What have they been up to? And then this trailer pops up just as I was thinking that, and it's, hold on to this. Let's look at the PlayStation vlog up on the screen. There it is. It's Sumo Labs' new game called Vertigo Rush, and it kind of looks like a mix of like kind of a steampunk gorilla tag racing game with an emotional story. I don't know, man. Have you had a chance to watch this trailer?
Actually, no, this one slipped by me. I got it in my email box, my inbox yesterday
Nice.
or the day before, and I meant to look at this before we went live today, but I am watching it in real time now as you are playing it.
It's all good. It happens. There's a couple things I want to point out while you're watching it. First of all, whenever we have a multiplayer game, it seems like they don't make it playable for enough people simultaneously. We saw that with Exo Cars recently. That game is 4-player racing game. Even Galaxy Car, which I love, so 6 players max. I really need that to be like 10. But Vertigo Rush gets announced by Sumo Lab, and they right off the bat they're like 12 players, 12-player racing game, and I'm like, that is fucking cool, right? It just seems like they're like, okay, we figured this out, which I'm a little surprised about because the first Crisis Brigade was 3 players. Crisis Brigade 2 was 2 players. And I was like, wait, we're going in the wrong direction here. Like we really need to up the number, not lower it. And so they were like, it seemed like behind the scenes they were slowly figuring this out. And I want to definitely hear from you guys in the chat and Wes, what you think of the graphical art style. But I want to say that these guys really did a great job with Crisis Brigade 2, not even on PSVR 1, on PSVR 2, both of them. Like they just did this amazing thing. They went from having this super cartoony art style to having almost like a super realistic art style. So, picture all of this. My guess would be is that they've got this up and running at like 90 frames native. It's going to look super clear and super sharp, and it's going to run nice and smooth. So like take that into consideration while you're watching this. And then suddenly I'm like, man, for a game that kind of looks like Gorilla Tag, like I really want to play it. But I also kind of want to play Gorilla Tag more because I like that game anyway.
No, I like the art style. I think it looks cool. I mean, it is cartoony, but it's not like it doesn't look like MetaQuest 2 cell shaded like crap cartoony. It has a good art style to it, and I think it's as long as everything runs good in the headset, which I assume it will, this should be a decent looking game inside the headset.
Wes, I hate to sidetrack this conversation, but I'm going to only because I do not have my thumb on the pulse of what's happening over on the Quest. Are people like done with Quest 2? It's like Quest, like this game's not coming out until mid 2025. Do you assume it'll also come out on Quest 2? Like, is that especially with like the work you do at Impact, you see a lot of these games coming to Quest. Are there still a lot of studios that are targeting the Quest 2?
Yeah, I would say that there will be for the next year or so because these development cycles are so long that the games that are going to be coming out next year probably started development 2 or 3 years ago, and when things were very much still in question. So I think as long as these studios can get their game to run smoothly on Quest 2 without a bunch of extra effort, that they're going to, because that still remains to be the platform where most players are at, and that's the most uh, potential for sales. Now, with that said, Quest 2 is no longer supported by Meta. That you can't buy them anymore. They're not making any more of them. They've fully replaced them on the market with Quest 3S, which is, it's got most of the capability of a Quest 3 for the price of a Quest 2. And I think the hope of Meta and the hope of most people in the industry is that those Quest 2 players will now upgrade and that way we can all collectively leave the Quest 2 platform and its limitations behind us. But for the time being, while we're in that transition, we are going to continue to see most standalone games support the Quest 2, with the exception of the very high-end, big budget games that would otherwise be technically challenged on the older hardware.
Zach Lightning in the chat says, back in relation to Vertigo Rush, he says, well, it has heights and motion. This is what we want. We're VR people. See? Listen, I like games that take the guardrails off. I like games that let you fall from a huge distance without throwing mandatory blinders around your eyes. I like, intense locomotion schemes. I'm still waiting, Dan, for To the Top on PSVR2.
Yeah.
Where's To the Top? Dan's probably not here. He forgot he forgot GAMESCAST has started. He'll come rushing through the door like Kramer in about 15 minutes and be like, I'm sorry I'm late. So everybody, when Dan gets here, ask him where the fuck To the Top is on PSVR2. And listen, and I'm obviously just kidding, because Dan is hard at work working on Behemoth. Okay, so we'll give him that for now. We'll let him work on Behemoth for now. But as soon as Behemoth is out, then it's back to the Top, you guys. It's back to the Top, and we're gonna harass him every day until we get an answer.
Yeah, and that kind of that kind of brings me to, because you took the words out of my mouth. Like, am I going to enjoy playing this game? It's largely going to depend on how the movement feels. These Gorilla Tag style movement systems have been very hit and miss for me. So sometimes it's okay, like Stilt, for example, did a good job. There are a couple other games like Out of Hand that did a good job, but a lot of the time it doesn't work for me and it doesn't feel good. So I'm a little bit afraid by that. But if they say this is a parkour inspired racing game, and if there are controls built in to allow you to play it kind of like something like a To the Top, then I feel like this could be a lot of fun.
They talk about like a heartwarming story or something, and it does look like there's some stuff in this trailer that has nothing to do with racing, right? You're talking to this NPC, or assuming it's an NPC, and he hands you something and you take it, and it's like, man, it's like, it just makes me wonder. It's like, I wonder what we're doing between the races. Like, it makes it seem like there's some depth here. And it's not just like, oh, what track do you guys want to go on? Okay, do we have a full lobby? All right, let's go. Click, and then we go. It's like, I'm wondering if there's more to it. Like, if the single player campaign actually, like, if there's a story around it or something like that. I don't know, but very curious, because these guys so far have done Crisis Brigade and then Crisis Brigade 2, and it's like, as great as those games were, I want to see what else they're capable of. So I'm very, very much going to be keeping an eye on this one.
Indeed.
We get Not Sure Brando with the $10 tip, saying, love our community. What a great group of people. Dude, we do have a great group of people. And not to bring that discussion down somehow, right? But man, with all the new people that come through the doors, like, I do have to, like, make sure that we keep our community fucking awesome, right? And sometimes you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. It sucks, man. Like, I never want to ban anybody, and I never want to, like, block anyone from YouTube comments or in Discord. But man, it's like, just if you're unfamiliar with the community that we have here, like, we're very open-minded group of people, and we want to make sure that you come into our community and you hang out and you get to have fun, and you can leave the outside world outside. And so let's continue to do that, because it's way too easy for a very innocent conversation to get very heated, and I refuse to let the people who want to tear us apart in any way possible. We're not going to let those people do that. Like, we're here to, like, bring people together. So remember that when you're in the comments, remember that when you're in the chat, remember that when you're on Discord. Like, it sucks. I don't want to ban anybody, right? But we do what we got to do to make sure that this community continues to be the greatest community that has ever existed online.
Don't be a turd, is what he's trying to say. Leave your crap at the door. Don't be a turd.
Thank you. I should have just handed that one to you to begin with because you fucking nailed it in 5 seconds, whereas it took me 15 minutes to get around to it. Don't be a turd. We got Hip Elf with the $5 tip. Says, I keep trying to tell people that it's not always the AAA games that push VR forward or get people into VR. I don't think you're wrong about that, Hip Elf. It's just there's a problem with VR, right? And it's that when people who come and want to play VR games, or people who get a VR headset for the first time, a lot of the times they're sold on that headset by the promise of playing this amazing AAA game like Gran Turismo or Resident Evil Village or RE4 Remake or whatever in VR. Be like, oh yeah, it's the same game, but you get to be in the game. Oh my God, it's amazing. And then they go, what's next? And they go, well, we get this Horizon game. And they go, well, that doesn't really feel like a Horizon game. And like, well, what else you got? And I'm like, well, we get these beautiful Red Matter games. And it's like, those are over in 3 hours. And it's like, it's these people who walk through the door and go, awesome, these games are great, but like, I'm looking for that next AAA experience. And I think no one would have a problem with all the indies that we get if we were also getting a steady flow of single A and AAA games as well. Right. I think you're right though, Hip Elf. The AAA games aren't pushing what VR can do. They might be pushing it graphically, like the capabilities of the visuals, but they're not, these are not the most VRAF games you've ever played, right? Shadow Legend was the game that coined that phrase for us, right? Vitrivius VR, a team of 2 people, coined the phrase VRAF, right? So it is always going to be the indies that, just like on the flat screen, that push the industry forward. But to satisfy gamers, we need to make sure we're also getting those single A and AAA games. It's just we need a better balance.
Yeah, this has been a raging debate this week on our Discord. The VRAF crew versus the gamepad hybrid crew, and my whole point and stance behind it has been we got to have both. Like, we need both. Both are equally necessary. We need games out there that are really pushing the boundaries and redefining what gaming is, using the things that are making VR unique. But at the same time, especially if we want to draw in new players, which means drawing in new money, which means having bigger games, we have to be willing to make some concessions sometimes so that we can have games that have larger scale and depth of gameplay loop. And right now, there aren't enough VR gamers for a studio to be able to justify dropping $20 million into developing a big game. So the only way we're going to get those games is by hybridizing flat games that are already out there. And sometimes that's going to mean making concessions in terms of the VRAF stuff.
We got Mark with the $5 tip. Hi, Mark. Says, looks like a fun game, but Flatout is the flat to VR title I'm really waiting for. I'll still give Trombone a shot, though.
Thank you.
Wes, I'm guessing that this is not stuff you can talk about. And so, as always, make sure you tell me, Brian. I can't fucking talk about that. How long do you think it'll be before we start seeing updates on other flat to VR games that are not Trombone Champ Unflattened?
You'll be getting updates very soon. I would say within a couple months, we'll take a very different marketing beat into whatever the next title is going to be. We're going to launch. The plan is to launch 4 or 5 more titles next year.
Jesus. So wait, hold on a second. So you've only announced 4 titles total, and you've got 1 coming this year, and so you've got games coming out next year that have not been announced.
We definitely are already have titles signed that have not been announced.
Is anybody else in agreement that this is the best episode of GAMESCAST we've ever had? All right, you can now cheer in the chat like Xavier, fucking everybody. Okay, good. No, that's awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to Flatout as well, because I mean, listen, we're desperate for racing games, and so for a racing game with this much pedigree and this much history, and all these different mini games and tracks and cars and weapons and everything to choose from, uh, if it's weapons, I don't fucking know. I don't think it's weapons, right? Um, I have been told that most of these games are really good, and so I'm excited to play them in VR.
Yes, yes, and I can't wait till they announce what's coming later. Like, there's a lot of stuff in the works.
All right. For whatever reason, this window is not working properly, so I don't know why it's not scrolling. So we can read the correct tip at the right time. My apologies, Matt Vegan with the membership level 2 membership says thanks for keeping us abreast about game updates. Just beat the Light Brigade, oh my god, on my second run with the Saboteur. Much better than the Hunter. Oh my god, dude, the Light Brigade. I've not even had a chance to get back in and play any of the Light Brigade updates. Things have just been too crazy.
This most recent one seems significant. A lot of the updates that game got over the months have been like new character classes, which is cool. But for someone who's played through the campaign a few times, like, how much are you wanting to really go through it again? You can play the same levels with a different gun and a different ability. I mean, that's cool, but what really drives engagement from someone who's already kind of played it out is new content. And I think this most recent update has some significant new content in it um with a new like realm that actually gives us new levels to play through. So it's pretty awesome.
We got Game Cat goofing in virtual unreality for $2 tip says picked up Shadow Legend on PC to play on PSVR2. Excellent. Um, dude, those guys over at Vitrivius have actually talked about bringing a PSVR2 version of Shadow Legend, like an actual official PSVR2 version of Shadow Legend out. But they got so in the weeds with Arcanage. Like I've been talking to Vitrivius behind the scenes about Arcanage for the better part of like fucking 18 months. It's been so long, right? And it's just I think it became a bigger project and took them longer to get to do than they ever expected. It just became a bigger deal. So I definitely so once Arcanage is out, I'll be curious to see if we actually get a PSVR 2 version of Shadow Legend, if it even like matters anymore. I think it matters. I want every PSVR 1 game on PSVR 2, and I have been paying attention to the chat. I know that there's a lot of conversations in there about first party PSVR 1 games coming to PSVR 2. I've not given up hope on that. Like, so Sony's a fucking disaster right now. Like Sony's a disaster. This is why like there was that news story recently about them having to restructure and figure out basically, how to do shit now. And I do think that I hope I really really hope that this does mean that there's some sort of focus on VR a little bit more than what they've been showing. If it all comes down to just money, which is a silly thing to say when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Of course, it's about money. That's always going to be the case. But obviously, there's a division of Sony that cares about VR, or they wouldn't have put PSVR 2 out. They wouldn't have made Horizon Call of the Mountain, right? There is a division of Sony that cares about this stuff and knows that, like, this is the future. It's just not going to be profitable for a little while. It's not going to be a big deal. So, so that's my hope, is that the people at Sony who care about VR are going to get a bigger voice through all of this somehow, and maybe the things they're doing for PSVR 2 will start making sense a little bit more. But nothing Sony's done for the last 5 years has made any sense to me at all. So I don't, the fact that we don't have the PSVR 1 games that we want on PSVR 2, honestly, at this point, no surprise. They're a mess.
Yeah, I agree, but I also agree that I haven't given up hope on it. Sony, in terms of their console generation, sometimes can be late bloomers, and it could be the case that the second half of the lifespan of PSVR2 exceeds the first by a great deal. And part of that very well could be bringing up some of our classics from what, in my opinion, is still the best catalog in the history of consumer VR, the PlayStation VR1 catalog.
Yep. All right, man. We got to tackle the headline, man, and that's it's gonna be our last big news story. Is the headline of the show, and that's that we got news just yesterday, I think, or was it today? I don't know. Everything blurs together. I can't keep up with anything, and that is that. Don't worry, I got it. Pirates VR Jolly Roger promises swashbuckling adventure next year on Steam and PSVR2. This is an article from Henry Stockdale over at Upload VR. We're just going to jump over there to get the full story. Once I get everything working. Here it is. We got it working. All right. We got Pirates VR Jolly Roger, a new action adventure across a cursed island, arrives next year on Steam and PlayStation VR2. Developed by Splitlight Studio, who made Afterlife VR, and published by VR Kiwi, who brought us Stilt. Pirates VR Jolly Roger promises a campaign filled with danger looming at every turn, set across a forgotten Caribbean island filled with jungles, rocky cliffs, and sunken ships. You're tasked with navigating perilous traps and fighting undead pirates while searching for Davy Jones's treasure. VR Kiwi states that this campaign will last around 4 to 6 hours, letting you explore the island by climbing cliffs, swim through underwater caverns, and slide down ropes. Getting around traps requires finding puzzle pieces to discover hidden treasure maps or unknown pathways. If you get stuck during tougher puzzles, your bad-mouthing companion parrot can provide hints. I didn't read this article, and now I'm irritated because I don't want a bad-mouthing companion parrot providing hints. That's some fucking alliteration right there.
Tarzan flashback.
That's right. I was just thinking this is the pirate version of a floating fucking robot talking to you nonstop during your adventure. As for combat, Pirates VR Jolly Roger arms you with a magic lantern, a classic pirate weapons like a flintlock pistol. This remote island is filled with threats ranging from wild animals, undead skeletons, cursed pirates, and other fierce creatures. Arrives on Steam January 14, 2025, and the PSVR2 version will follow in Q2 2025. Interesting, Wes, for so many reasons. What do you know about Pirates VR?
Not a lot. I know that this is definitely a genre and a sector that is not very well represented in the VR catalog. We've had some kind of piratey games, but no one's really nailed it yet and given us the really awesome pirate adventure that we all want. They announced this title a while back. I don't remember where I initially saw it
Bro,
at.
4 years ago, they teased this game 4 years ago on the Splitlight YouTube channel.
Well, there you go. So that's it. But no, I've been aware of it for a while. I know that it looks pretty awesome visually. The screenshots and the video look pretty good, and I'm somewhat optimistic about the general quality level of it. I think it looks like it has potential to be good. I'm also very optimistic that it's coming from Splitlight Studio. So when they say we're doing Steam in Q1 and PSVR in Q2, I have some confidence that that's actually going to be the case because we have a studio here that has brought games from Steam to PlayStation VR2 before, and they know what it takes.
I talked to VR Kiwi a couple months ago because they had actually teased this. They had teased somebody on Twitter was posting a list of upcoming PSVR2 games, and they responded to it by teasing that they were bringing a pirate game to PSVR2, and everyone was like, "Whoa, what? Wait, what? Huh? What's going on?" And so I emailed them and I said, "Hey, what's going on with this? Like, you haven't really announced anything. It's like there's a couple pirate games this could be, right?" And so and so their response was that like, "Hey, it's Pirates VR Jolly Roger, but we're not ready to reveal it yet because all of the trailers that are out right now don't properly reflect the gameplay, right?" And so if you take a look at the one that's playing right now, this is the most recent one that just came out like mere hours ago, right? And you're kind of zip lining on things, you're swimming, you're climbing up rocks. Here you go, this flintlock pistol where you're shooting undead skeletons, right? It's all the stuff we just read about on Upload VR. And so, I mean, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to throw up the old trailer and see like why that didn't reflect. I haven't actually done this yet, Wes. So I'll just call out shit as I see it.
Well, this is a common thing for what it's worth, though, that publishers will do. You know, when they take on these projects, is they'll kind of try to take things in a new direction in terms of marketing. And you know, oftentimes these development studios are kind of tone deaf to what's appealing about their own game to VR players. So I don't know. I don't remember what the old trailer looks like either. So
I
it'll
mean,
be
I'm playing it
interesting to
now,
see.
and so far there's the same parrot. There's still climbing, which looks very, very similar. Lots of climbing, same parrot. Yep, more climbing. I mean, it's a very pretty game. The new trailer, the old trailer, this game has looked pretty the whole time. Oh, look, swimming. Like so far, they totally could have just used this trailer. There's a pirate hat that you can put on, so maybe that doesn't exist anymore. Who knows? Oh, that was interesting. Okay, so now all this above ground stuff looks. I mean, like the whole thing looked pretty realistic to begin with. Yeah, very curious to know if all this stuff is like making it into the final game or not. Like this is stuff from 4 years ago. You know, you're hanging out with other pirates, and so are those NPCs that you can talk to, or you get missions from them. Like here's the lantern. They showed that lantern too in the new trailer, and here's some puzzles. Like I mean, the only thing I'll say is that it's like a really long trailer, and so for a 4 to 6 hour game, maybe they were like we revealed too much, and we want to pretend like this never existed, because we just showed you everything that happens in the course of 6 hours. So. But it looks good. I mean, it looks good now. It looks good then. So I would love to know. Would love to know a little bit more about what's happened behind the scenes over the last 4 years. But also very happy to know that, you know, Wes, a lot of people. I run a YouTube channel if you didn't know, and so I read a lot of comments, and people assume, oh, we haven't heard from this game in 6 months. It must be canceled. Might as well forget about it, right? Here's a game that we barely heard about at all in years. And now they are reemerging and saying, hey, it'll be out in the next few months. You know, next 2 months on Steam, next 4 or 5 months on PSVR2. And so I guess the answer is like, hey, don't lose hope. Like sometimes when you don't hear from these people, it just means that they've got their head down. They're working on the game.
That's
And
very true.
I hope all this stuff makes it into the final game, because this also looks like a very nice trailer. So
Yeah, no, it looks great. I've kind of always wanted to have this awesome pirate adventure. I just hope that that's what this is, right?
right. Yeah. There's another pirate game, right? It's another
Yeah,
VR pirate game.
there's another one that's in development. It's early access. Um, and it looks like it has potential as well. It's already out on Steam and early access. The name escapes me. I'm sure Looper knows exactly what it is, because it was at Gamescom. Bootstrap Island. Thank you, Macho.
Oh yeah.
Bootstrap Island.
That's right.
Also looks really cool.
So between let's hope that we get Bootstrap Island on PSVR2 as well. I'm heading over to Bootstrap Island right now over on Steam.
Twitcher says, so you're telling me there's a chance for Star Child?
Yeah, that's it. You fucking interpreted those words exactly the way I meant you to interpret them. You saw through the bullshit. I mean, listen, who here would buy Star Child if it came out tomorrow? If they were
exactly.
Like, we never officially canceled Star Child, and now and here it is.
Yeah, I don't think that game would hold up the same today as it was being hyped, you know, when it was announced.
Dude, I don't think that Star Child was going to hold up if it came out in 2017 or 2018, right? Everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's a Metroidvania," but like we had no way of knowing that. Like we just all assumed because it looked like a side-scrolling adventure game. So, yeah, no, we have no idea. But Star Child, I would absolutely buy Star Child if it came out tomorrow. Just saying. I'm sure it'd be fine. All right, Wes. I think it's time to play a 4-minute challenge. As long as we're
Oh
caught up on
no,
tips. Are we caught up on tips? Oh, it's my turn. So you just have to
it's your
guess.
turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's just check in on these tips real quick. I want to make sure we don't forget anybody. The Game Cat Andrew Ehrenreich with the $5 tip says, if people hate indies so much, how come Balatro is going to win Game of the Year? Dude, I haven't played Balatro, but like everyone I know is playing it.
I've heard that word a couple times in the last few days. I don't
Yeah.
know anything about it.
Listen, I don't know, man. Like I think a lot of AAA games are dropping the ball the last few years. Right? They're just kind of not well written, or they're just not innovating, just like the same kind of crap we've played over and over again. And if you've been following the channel for a while, you probably know that that's why I got into VR when I did. Like that's why I got so excited about VR, is because it was during the PlayStation 4 era, and I sort of bought a PlayStation 4 at launch just because I could. It was like the first time in my entire life that I could afford a new console the day it launched. And so I pre-ordered one, got it on day one. But there was no game that I was like super excited to play. I played Killzone Shadowfall just out of like obligation of it being a launch title and having not much else to play. I played my first Assassin's Creed game, Black Flag, on PS4 because, again, there wasn't much else to play. I played Resogun because I had PlayStation Plus and it was free. That was a really good game. But I was just kind of getting bored of it, man. And so when PSVR came along, it's like, oh my God, like video games are new again somehow. Like it's totally just like the injection, the shot in the leg that it needed for me to be excited about games again. Like every game was exciting again. And I hadn't felt that way about video games since I was like 18, 19, 20, something along those lines. And so, that's it. So that's where I'm at with that. I have no idea why I brought that up, Wes, but I think you have a
Yeah,
similar story.
I have a very similar story. I had quit gaming outside of playing retro games through emulators and stuff like that. Like I had completely fallen out with gaming because it had got so boring and repetitive. The generations were only bringing, minor graphical upgrades and nothing else. There was no innovation. So like literally the last console I had owned was an Xbox 360 that I got at launch and had sold within 3 months of launch.
Wow.
I wasn't playing it and I got away from it. When I heard about PlayStation VR, I bought a PS4. I couldn't afford to get it all at once, so I got the console first. And the pack in with my PS4 was Uncharted 4. And I played through that and was like wowed by it. I thought it was great. And then I also picked up The Last of Us for $10 and played that and was just mind blown by that. And then the next thing I had, I started playing through BioShock again, and I got halfway through the trilogy, and then I got my PSVR headset, and I could count on one hand the flat games that I've really gotten into since that day. Like VR just changed everything for me and just completely revived my lifelong love of video games. So I completely can identify with your thoughts here.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think the reason I brought that up to begin with was just because, we love innovation in gaming. We don't want to play the same game over and over and over again. And so, like, Andrew brought up, you know, people hating indies, and it's like, man, I've never hated indies. Indies have always been like my bread and butter, right? It's like I've always been like, oh, cool, the new Uncharted game, I'm going to play that. But then it's like Thomas Was Alone came out, and I was like, a rectangle made me cry, right? I'm like, oh, I feel so much for Thomas, this little red rectangle. What the fuck, you know? Um, and so yeah, indies have always been my bread and butter, and so I'm never gonna hate them. I'm never gonna get sick of them. When we talk about the lack of AAA games, we talk about it in the sense that, like, we just want a little bit more balance, and we want everyone to be able to get what they want in the VR space, because that's what you need for mass adoption. And I don't think we're really close to that.
Nope, not yet.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Sent us off on a nice tangent there. Hype phase with the Canadian. Whoops, where'd it go? $20 tip says super hype for Flatout. Reminds me of 90s PC high octane. Say hi to Hugo. We will say hi to Hugo for you. Man, high octane. The name sounds familiar. I maybe I'd never played it. You familiar with this one, Wes?
No, not really, but I get the vibe that he's going for. He's talking about that early 90s colorful Mountain Dew and Doritos awesomeness that we all kind of grew up with in our when we were coming of age.
Matcha, the real estate procrastin game cat with the $2 tip says, how you doing with Metro? Is it up to your top 3 this year? Man, I have to look at the games that came out this year. It's so easy to forget about games that came out. I mean, fucking forget about January. I can't remember games that came out 3 months ago, right? Because it's always like this moving from one to the other to another. And what I will say is that I'm putting together a top 50 list for the channel because we got a lot of new people coming in. I want there to be a video that's up to date and encompasses. I think the last video we had was like from July or something. So we were already overdue for a new list and definitely want to do something bigger than we'd done before. So we got a top 50 list incoming. And with any luck, it'll be out this weekend. So stay tuned for that. Metro is not in my top 3 for this year, though, I'm betting. It's a great game, but I didn't fall head over heels for it like I know a lot of other people did. Best Vertigo game yet.
Probably.
And I think that's it. All right. It is time. We're going to put 4 minutes up on the clock up on the counter the way that Jeremy likes it. And guys, help Wes out. He's only got 4 minutes and an infinite number of yes or no questions to figure out what PSVR1 or PSVR2 game I'm thinking of. I really got to figure my shit out over here, Wes. This is I've not been a good producer tonight, but that's okay because I found it. On your mark, get Des, go.
Is this a PlayStation VR2 game?
Yes.
Is this a PlayStation VR1 game?
Yes.
Is this a game that's playable on other VR platforms?
Yes.
On Steam?
Yes.
On Quest?
Fuck, I was going to look up the Steam one and then correct myself later. It is on Steam, and I'm checking on Quest right now. You can keep asking questions. I'll get back to it.
Okay. Is it playable flat?
This is crazy. Boy, I wasn't prepared. I think so. Okay, it is on Quest. I'm getting caught up here. Optional, VR optional.
Okay.
So you can play it on flat.
Played everywhere. Awesome. Is
you
this
can
a horror
play
game?
It on your potato. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. Is it a horror game?
Yes, it is. That wasn't the correct answer. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Is this a good game?
It depends who you ask. I was not a big fan of it.
Okay, so this is the horror game that Bryan doesn't like. That's playable on all platforms in all formats, including PlayStation VR2. No, it can't be Madison because that's the most awesome game ever.
Got that
Is this
right.
a first-person shooter?
No.
No. Is it a first-person game?
Yes.
Yes. Full locomotion?
No.
Not full locomotion. Node-based teleport?
Yes. Essentially, yes. Sorry, sirens on my end.
Okay. Node-based teleport. No, Bryan liked Five Nights at Freddy's. Is this based on a known franchise?
No.
So it's not Five Nights at Freddy's. Bryan liked The Room. That's not it. You
Yeah,
can't play
Brian
Bad
likes every
Dreams
horror game.
flat. Yeah, I know. That's
Hmm.
the thing that's throwing me off here. Um, so this has been around a while.
It's
It was on
been a
PSVR
while.
1. Been a while. Geez. What could this be? Is it a puzzle game, Brian?
Yeah.
So it's a horror puzzler with essentially node-based teleport. Um, I don't think so. This you had full locomotion in seventh guess, didn't you? Sure you did. Um, Paranormal activity you had full locomotion in. Can't play paper dolls on Quest.
Or
Uh,
PSVR2, sadly.
did the studio that developed this recently announce a new title coming?
Oh, I don't think so. Who are you
Okay,
thinking?
I don't think so. The Room. People keep saying The Room.
Okay, nope. You get 10 seconds, so you're gonna have to throw out a guess.
Shit, man. Um I I I I don't know, Brian. I don't know what to guess. Here, everything that pops in my head doesn't fit the
Yep.
profile.
Wow. Looper just said no fucking idea. We've never heard Looper say that. So here you go, guys. Coming out November 13th, 2019 on PSVR 1 and March 21st, 2023 on PSVR 2. This is Amada's wheelchair based horror game called Last Labyrinth.
Oh, you can play that flat?
Bro, I think so.
Wow.
I mean,
Didn't know that.
it's funny because this it says the trailer says a tale that can only be experienced in VR, and then I think they were like, oh, by the way, now you can play it on the flat screen.
Yeah, I
Wait, did,
probably did know that, but I've forgotten it, and still have forgotten it.
dude, I'm so glad you didn't ask if you could play with the DualShock 4 because it's just like the PlayStation page for this is both of them combined, the PS4 and PS5 versions, and it's like Jesus, it's like it's saying VR optional. It's talking about Sense controllers, doesn't talk about Move controllers. And I'm like, I remember using the Move controllers, but can I use the DualShock? And I was like, oh man, I don't even know how to answer some of these questions. But yeah, essentially, notes no teleportation. It is first person, but like you're really controlling a third person character, or attempting to control a third
Yeah.
person character. This was, man, I wanted to love this game, and I loved
I
the
did too.
horror vibe, but that was about it.
I liked it until I hated it. Like
Yes.
I enjoyed it at first, um, but when they hit me with like hardcore algebra puzzles, I'm like, no,
Right?
no, this is not a game. Algebra is not a game. This is why I dropped out of college, and so I didn't have to do shit like this.
It it was
So
the
yeah,
same. I think it was the same puzzle for everybody. It was like these scales where you just had to like take these blocks and somehow they were all different weights and balance them on these different scales. And like you literally couldn't solve it, to my knowledge at least, without taking off the headset and getting out a piece of paper and like
yep,
doing fucking, like you said, algebra. It was insane. Insane.
yeah. It was literally you had to do matrices with it. Like they gave you like your given over here on the wall, like so it showed you what the value was for like your x variable and your z variable, and left out y, and then they gave you a similar like proof over here where they gave you x and y, but they left out z, and you had to take all of these and basically, mathematically, you had to basically take what they've given you in formula form and solve for the missing variables. um, but it was not like level one algebra. This was like pretty advanced what they expected you to do. And me, as someone who was a math major in college, um, I struggled with it. Like it took me an hour to figure that shit out. And by the time I got done with it, nope, we're not going on anymore. This is over now. And I
Yeah.
think I may have even like tried to stream it or something at the time or record it. I was very frustrated, and man, I'm still pissed off about it. If you can't tell.
Yeah, if they had made some more logical puzzles, if they had made some more like escape room style puzzles rather than just like insanely hard puzzles, this would have been, I think, a pretty fucking good game. There's some really cool moments in this. Like I played
It's
a
dark,
lot of
man.
it.
This game is dark. Like some of
Yeah,
the stuff in this game, like you kind of have hard to believe that they would put shit like that in the game. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I do. This is one of those games that like I never reviewed. I always wanted to get around to, and like if we ever have like a month or two that's just like looking like it's empty, you know, after I get back to like reviewing Kayak and Demio and all the few launch titles from PSVR2, this is on the list, man. This is on the list because I do want to give it another try. Because some of the puzzles were actually pretty cool. But
yeah.
all right, guys, it is time for us to get out of here. I've got a long night of editing ahead of me, but this was a nice little break from my day. We didn't even get to cover all the news, but don't worry, Miles and I will cover a bunch of it on Friday, all the leftover stuff, and as we were talking about on Discord today, I'm only a couple days from like there being no more people in my apartment ever, just me and Tornado, and so I'm like literally days away from, like 2 days away from having my racing rig set up at all times, having about 7 square feet just for VR, just for playing VR. So I'm never going to punch any of my TVs or Polymegas ever again. Things are finally cleaning up a little bit, or clearing up a little bit in my personal life, which always reflects better on the channel, I think. So I'm very excited to spend more time with you guys. But thank you guys for spending time with us today. Remember, go subscribe to Wes over at Virtual Strangers, subscribe to AJ at PSVR Underground, subscribe to Miles at youtube.com/Miles. While you're clicking links, come join our Discord. And just a quick shout out to everybody who supports this channel, from all the people who make my life easier, like our mods, and the people who do the timestamps, and the people who, just make me smile every day. There's also everyone who supports us financially over on patreon.com/withoutparolegames, everyone who's a member over here, and of course, everyone who tips during the show. You guys are keeping the lights on way more than you know. Like, I really appreciate you. But that's never the priority around here. We are so much just happy that you're here, just happy that you're hanging out, just happy that you're part of this community. That's the most important thing. Thank you guys for being here. And a quick shout out to everybody who sits back and watches the show and doesn't say a goddamn word. I used to be one of you, so I know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Happy Wednesday, Wes.
Happy Wednesday, Brian. Happy holidays, everyone. Happy shopping.
Happy Black Friday. Get yourself a second PSVR2 headset. You need that backup set of controllers.
Word.
Let's go. Wes, I somehow when we came back with the 3-day-a-week streaming schedule, I completely forgot who does what on what days. Like, I know that, like, we cue the cat with AJ on Monday, and then on Friday we do clip of the week, and then somehow last week I completely forgot that you and I do Without Parole history.
Yep, we just said bye last week.
We did. Like, yeah. And so I think we got to make up for it and take a look at what happened this week in Without Parole history. So I'm going to scroll all the way down, check out my thumbnails from November of 2020. I don't know, man. What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
What are the options?
We can go 2022. We can go 2021. What would you rather do? 2022 or 2021?
Yeah, let's do 2021. I always really like to go back to those days and see where we were at. It's typically pretty comical.
This is going to be good because I can already see a little thing from the thumbnail. Here it is. Why is AJ taking up half of the thumbnail? The headline reads, "Could PSVR2 be shown at the Game Awards?" Oh my God, we were so desperate. We were so desperate for PSVR2 news. We're just like, oh, here's a new event. Maybe it'll be there. But of course, then it's also Play Against AJ in Synth Riders. Do you remember this?
Um,
AJ is it like an official ghost or something in Synth Riders? I don't know. Is he in the chat? Can he
no,
clarify this? We have no idea what the hell that was all
no, I
about.
don't remember this. I do remember the state of desperation we were back in, though. Like we were hoping that maybe Sony was about to announce that PlayStation Experience is coming back in some format,
Oh my
maybe even
god.
if it's digital or like
Hmm.
it was bad times.
I don't. Are we out of those times? Like, because
No, I
we
mean
we're
we're
still
kind of getting back
speculating.
into them
Yeah.
because to be honest, during that we were just coming out of the global shit show that we went through from 2019 to mid 2022.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I guess we're kind of getting back to that expectation that or hope that one day the video game industry will bounce back and we'll get back to where we were at in like the early 20 teens, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, listen, I feel like it probably was. It probably was Monday's episode or maybe Friday's episode where we're literally just talking about like, is PlayStation bringing back the PlayStation experience? And it's like, wow, like these are the conversations we've been having for literally years now. Um,
Yep.
and
Has it left?
I wonder if I wonder if that Sony's ever coming back. Like, Nintendo really started something when they started doing Nintendo Directs, and then PlayStation followed suit with State of Plays, and even did the showcase in the State of Plays format. You know, so I just wonder if those days are just gone, if they're ever coming back.
Yeah, it used to seem so much more significant, didn't it, when it was an in-person thing that
Hmm.
they brought the fans into? It seemed more like a significant. It seems like they promised us like these digital events that were going to be on par or better with what we were getting back during the live days, but it was like a bait and switch, and they haven't really held up on their end of that, and they've just kind of given us the bare minimum to be excited about. And I don't mean us as VR gamers, I mean us as gamers,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep. Uh, Flippy Nuggets in the chat says everyone's aged 10 years in the last 4 years. Dude, you're not even kidding. Um, I, I kind of love and kind of hate that there's a visual record of myself on the internet, streaming multiple times a week for the last pretty much decade. You go back like 8 or 9 years, man, and like I am a child. Like I am a literal child. Like
It's a
what is,
blessing.
dude? I am but in the last like 8 years, I've gone from being like what looks like a kid streaming, not knowing what the fuck he's doing, to an old man who still has no idea what he's
Yeah.
doing. This is the only thing that's changed is my weight and my energy level. Both have gone the wrong
Yeah.
way very quickly.
Same here, and it is scary to look at, so I don't. But I said this, I've said it many times, like this is a blessing for people who care about us and our loved ones to one day be able to go back and spend all of these hours with us. We'll as long as YouTube, keeps the archives up, we'll never be truly gone. RIP, Dave Station VR. We miss you.
Yeah, big time, big time. Random Toxie, the Hungry Game Turdurkin. Please put hashtag GameCat somewhere in the comments below so we can give you a shout out on Monday's show. So it's gonna age 10 years in the upcoming 4 years too. Man, definitely makes me think that maybe I should do something else for next few years. Maybe I should take a break from YouTube. But that's also
I've
true.
been I've been considering standing while I play VR just for my health. Not that I
Yeah,
want to, but I think it's might be needed.
yeah. Well, this is. Listen, you brought up Dave. I brought up how old we're gonna be in just a couple more years. Uh, this is why everyone should come to GameCat Meetup 2025. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not that far away. Thankfully, it's not happening in March this year. It's happening in May, right? And so it's not going to be fucking ridiculously cold like it was in March. But we also had the best time. We had a great group of people show up, and we had the best time. And I get to hang out with all you guys, and you guys get to hang out with all of us. And I'm really hoping that we can all make it happen again. All the co-hosts get here, get back to Boston, go to PAX East, have a good time. Hopefully, we'll get even more cats to show up because God only knows. Like I feel so fortunate that we did it this year, and I feel so fortunate that we're planning on doing it again next year. But who knows? who knows what's going to happen after that? Like, you just never fucking know. So, like, let's enjoy this shit while we're doing it. I have no idea how much longer without Parole will be around. Let's fucking enjoy this while it lasts.
Yeah, we know we have no guarantees, period. All we have is today and right now, so take advantage of that.
Man, I love you guys. Like, all of you out there. I love you, Wes. I love all my co-hosts. I love all my mods. I really do. You guys are like family to me. This got emotional, surprisingly near the end. We did not plan this, but I just want to, like, really, you guys are like my whole world. So thank you for being here.
Love you too, Brian. I love you all.